joining us for a Word of the Day. This morning, as we continue through the Bible, we're going to look at 2 Chronicles chapter 1. In this passage of Scripture, Solomon is now king over Israel. David has died, and the kingdom has been passed on to Solomon. God comes to Solomon and tells him that because of his love for David and his promise to David, that he'll give Solomon anything he wants to help rule the kingdom. And Solomon, he doesn't ask God for wealth or for power or for a great army. He asks God for wisdom. And look what God says in verse number 11. And God said to Solomon, because this was in thine heart, and thou hast not asked riches, wealth, or honor, nor the life of thine enemies, neither yet hast thou long life, but hast asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself, that thou mayest judge my people, over whom I have made thee king. Wisdom and knowledge is granted unto thee, and I will give thee riches and wealth and honor, such as none of the kings have had that have been before thee, neither shall there be any after thee have the like. So God tells Solomon, you could have asked for anything. You could have asked for power, you could have asked for wealth, you could have asked me to kill your enemies, you could have asked for a long life for yourself, but you didn't. You asked for wisdom and knowledge to help lead the people of God. And because of that, I'm going to give you all these other things. I'm going to give you riches. I'm going to give you honor. I'm going to give you a long life. I'm going to protect you. And no king that has been before you and no king after you will be as great in these areas as you. And that's true. Solomon is known as the wealthiest man to ever live. He was the most powerful king Israel ever had. He brought Israel into their golden age. He built the temple. He did incredible things for God as king, and it only happened because he asked God for wisdom. Every one of us need the wisdom of God. James tells us, if any of you lack wisdom, ask it of God, and he'll give it to you liberally. We need wisdom in every area of our life. We need wisdom in how to have successful marriages and how to rear our children and how to be good employees that also honor God, and how to be believers that share our faith in the gospel with the lost around us, and how to run our finances in a way that's honoring to God. We need wisdom. That's our greatest need. You know, we live in a difficult world where the world is always telling us we need all these other things. We have to have money. We have to have the newest car. We have to have a bigger house. We have to have all these things. And if we get all these things, then we'll be happy, then we'll be successful. But God says none of those things matter. What you need is wisdom. We get wisdom from God. And when we have wisdom, God will take care of everything we need. I'm not saying that if you ask God of wisdom, he's going to give you riches and wealth. But if we have the wisdom of God, we'll have all we need. We'll be content with what God has given us. We will live a life that is honoring and pleasing to God. And if you follow Solomon's life, at the end of his life, he stopped asking for wisdom. He stopped asking for God's guidance. And he allowed his multiple wives to turn his heart from God and turn it towards false idols. And he ended his life far from God, away from God, and bringing Israel back into idolatry. When he started his life, he started his service with God, trusting God, walking with God, and doing everything he could to honor God. So what changed was he stopped trusting God for wisdom. He stopped trusting God for guidance. He thought he could handle it. He thought he could do it on his own, and he failed. And the same is true for us. We will never get to the point in our life where we can say, God, I know enough. I've lived long enough. I'm smart enough to handle this on my own. I don't need you. We always need God. We always need his wisdom. Thanks so much for joining us for our Word of the Day. Be sure to join us back here tomorrow as we continue through the Bible. Have a blessed day.